Imagine buying a laptop, right? You use it every single day for a year, and then you just wake up one morning and you find out it magically charges like 40% faster.
Right, which sounds impossible.
Exactly. You didn't buy a new battery. You didn't buy a new charging brick. The company just sent out some code over the air, and suddenly your hardware is vastly superior to what it was yesterday.
Yeah, just overnight.
Right. Well, welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking straight into the mid-June 2026 landscape of the Indian electric vehicle market. We're pulling our insights from the Hopcharge Weekly EV Industry Intelligence newsletter covering June 9th through the 13th.
It's a really fascinating issue this week.
It really is. And the mission for our conversation today is to explore this massive threshold that EVs are crossing right at this very moment. I mean, we are watching them evolve from being these niche secondary vehicles for early adopters.
The city toys, yeah.
Exactly, the city toys. They're moving from that into hyper-efficient, everyday primary cars for you and your family, and even scaling up to become these premium lifestyle statements.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Because buying a car, it used to mean what you drove off the lot on day one was just, well, it was as good as that vehicle was ever going to be.
It was locked in.
Yeah.
Bound by the physical metal and the hardware.
Exactly. But today's landscape proves electric vehicles are just throwing that old reality out the window.
They really are. I mean, it is a fundamental shift in the entire concept of vehicle ownership. You're absolutely right to highlight that excitement, because the market maturity we're seeing right now is being driven just as much by software developers writing code as it is by engineers stamping steel on an assembly line.
Right.
Cars are just becoming dynamic, living platforms now.
And we actually just saw undeniable proof of this dynamic shift. Autocar India recently ran some independent tests on the 2026 Tata Tiago EV, and they validated a mind-blowing 40% reduction in DC fast charging time.
Which I have to point out is not an incremental update.
No, not at all.
When we talk about automotive engineering, finding a 1 or 2% efficiency gain is usually cause for celebration. A 40% reduction, that's a generational leap in performance delivered overnight.
It's wild. Let's look at the breakdown for you guys listening. The 24 kilowatt-hour battery inside the Tiago, it now charges from 20% to 80% in just 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, that is down from 45 minutes on the outgoing model. And the average charging speed during that window registered at 24 kilowatts with a peak of 32 kilowatts.
Which is a huge jump from before.
Right. Previously, it was hovering around an average of 15 and peaking at like 19 kilowatts. But here's where it gets really interesting. The physical hardware has not changed. None of it.
Yeah, that's the crazy part.
You are looking at the exact same 320-volt architecture and the exact same 24 kilowatt-hour LFP or lithium iron phosphate battery pack.
It's literally the ultimate magic trick of the modern EV era. I mean, all of these performance gains, which are basically giving you 15 entire minutes of your life back at a charging stop.
Which is huge on a road trip.
Oh, completely. But they are entirely software-derived. Tata achieved this through a highly recalibrated battery management system, or BMS.
Okay, so what did they actually change in the software?
Well, they introduced a much more sophisticated dual-cell balancing algorithm and dynamic state of charge tuning. To put that in perspective, the software brain of the car is now communicating with the individual cells inside the battery pack with just incredible precision.
So it's talking to each cell individually.
Exactly. It figures out exactly how much electrical current it can safely force into each specific cell without causing any thermal damage, and it balances that load across the entire pack in real time.
Wow. It feels less like traditional mechanics and more like downloading a bigger fuel pipe straight off the internet.
It really does.
But I have to push back here for a second because looking at the details, there is a very bizarre quirk that really stands out.
Oh, the AC charging?
Yes. While the DC fast charging got this incredible software boost, the AC charging times, what you'd use at home haven't changed at all. Like, if you plug into a standard 3.3 kilowatt wall box, it still takes 9 hours. On a faster 7.2 kilowatt home unit, it's 3.5 hours to go from 10 to 100%.
Which is still perfectly fine for overnight charging.
Sure, but the truly agonizing detail is the very end of the charge. The final 7% of the battery, just getting from 93% to 100%, takes an extra 21 minutes.
Yeah, that is a steep curve.
Right. If the software can magically shave 15 minutes off the middle of the charge, why does that tiny last 7% take an excruciating 21 minutes? I mean, is that just a software glitch they haven't patched yet?
No, it's not a glitch at all. In fact, it's actually a perfect illustration of the boundaries of physics that software still has to respect.
Okay, explain that.
So when an LFP battery is relatively empty, say at 20%, you can just blast it with energy. The internal resistance is low, and the cells can absorb the lithium ions rapidly.
Makes sense.
But as that battery gets closer to 100%, finding a quote-unquote parking spot for those last few remaining lithium ions becomes incredibly difficult. If you try to force them in at high speed, you generate a massive amount of heat,
Oh, I see.
and you risk a phenomenon called lithium plating on the anode, which will permanently degrade your battery's lifespan.
So it's like packing a suitcase for a long trip. When the suitcase is mostly empty, you can just throw your jeans and shirts in as fast as you want.
Right, exactly.
But when it's like 93% full, you are carefully folding, tucking, and pushing things into tiny corners. It takes way longer to get those last few pairs of socks in without busting the zipper.
That is a phenomenal analogy. Yes, the software is intentionally slowing down the charge weight at the very end to protect the thermal limits and ensure that LFP pack lasts for hundreds of thousands of kilometers.
Well, it's protecting itself from us.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But what's fascinating here is how OEM original equipment manufacturer strategies are broadly shifting. Well, manufacturers realize that instead of putting larger, heavier, and vastly more expensive batteries into these budget cars to give you a better experience, they could just hire brilliant software engineers.
Oh, to extract maximum efficiency from cheaper existing hardware?
Precisely. They're optimizing the code to save on physical costs, which keeps the sticker price of the car down for you.
Wow. So we've established that software is making smaller, cheaper batteries incredibly efficient.
Yeah.
But, efficiency on a spreadsheet doesn't matter if nobody can actually afford to buy the vehicle.
Very true.
Which brings us to what the software magic has unlocked for your wallet, the sub 15 lakh threshold. Because extracting more usability from these smaller batteries is exactly what has suddenly made budget EVs viable as primary everyday vehicles.
It's totally flipped the script. The perception of the electric vehicle being a wealthy family's secondary city toy, that is rapidly dissolving.
Yeah.
We're seeing a massive structural shift in who buys these cars and how they're used.
Looking at the current landscape, EVs under 15 lakh are now genuine first purchase choices. Let me just run down the top 5 budget kings in this space because the capabilities you're getting for the price are incredible.
Let's hear them.
First, we just talked about the Tata Tiago EV, which sits between 6.99 and 9.99 lakh, giving you up to 285 kilometers of range. Then you have the MG Comet EV, priced at 7.63 to 10 lakh, offering 230 kilometers.
The Comet is such a unique form factor, too.
It really is. Next up is the Tata Punch EV at 9.69 to 12.59 lakh. This one actually boasts the highest range in the budget group, up to 468 kilometers on the MIDC.
And just to clarify for those listening, the MADC is the Modified Indian Driving Cycle.
Right.
It's a standardized laboratory test designed to simulate real-world Indian driving conditions, which, as we know, heavily factors in the stop-and-go nature of our city traffic.
That's perfect context, yeah. Rounding out the top 5, we have the Citroen EC3 sitting at 11.99 to 13.26 lakh with a 320-kilometer range. And the Tata Tigor EV giving you a proper sub-15 lakh sedan option.
The most glaring takeaway from that lineup, though, is Tata's absolute dominance.
It's undeniable.
They hold 3 of the top 5 positions in this critical budget segment. They aren't just participating in the market, they're actively defining the floor of the market.
Tata is completely flooding the zone. But look at the specific design philosophy behind these models. All 5 of these vehicles are highly optimized for urban commuting.
Right.
The strategy here isn't to build a car that can drive from Mumbai to Delhi on a single charge. The strategy is to build a car where the gaps in public charging infrastructure are bridged by the simplest solution of all home and office charging.
Which is so much more practical for daily life.
Exactly. So what does this all mean for you? It means the way we think about fueling our lives is changing. It's exactly like charging your smartphone while you sleep or work.
Oh, that's a great way to think about it.
You don't have range anxiety about your phone during the day because you know you're going to plug it in on your nightstand at night. Range anxiety totally disappears if your primary gas station is just your designated parking spot.
Yeah, and if we connect this to the bigger picture, it represents a massive shift in consumer behavior. For years, the loudest argument against EV adoption was the lack of highway fast charging infrastructure.
Everyone asked, where do I plug in on a long road trip?
Exactly. But if the vast majority of consumers are urban commuters driving 30 to 40 kilometers a day, the highway infrastructure debate just becomes secondary to daily practicality.
Right.
These budget EVs are succeeding because they rely on decentralized destination charging. Think about it. Your car is sitting completely idle 90% of the time anyway.
Yeah, parked at home or at the office.
Utilizing that idle time to trickle charge on a simple, slow AC connection completely changes the economics of car ownership.
Okay, budget EVs sound amazing on paper, and the economics of charging at work make perfect sense. But I want to pump the brakes for a second.
Okay, what's your concern?
If you're dropping 10 to 15 lakh to make an EV your family's primary vehicle, it cannot just be a delicate piece of technology. It has to survive the brutal, unforgiving reality of an Indian summer.
Oh, absolutely. The thermal dynamics of an EV cabin in extreme heat is arguably the most critical testing ground for any vehicle meant to serve as a primary family car in this market.
And we actually have some incredible data on exactly that. Autocar India ran a literal stress test on 7 compact SUVs.
This test was fascinating.
We are talking about a peak ambient temperature of 41.2 degrees Celsius. That is over 106 degrees Fahrenheit.
Brutal heat.
The methodology of this test was wild. They took these cars and baked them in direct, punishing sunlight for 2 full hours.
Just letting them soak up all that radiation.
Right. Then they put 5 thermocouple sensors inside the cabin and logged temperatures through a very specific cycle. A 1-minute idle, a 15-minute drive, and a final 1-minute idle.
Which is a fantastic, highly accurate simulation of your daily life.
Exactly.
You leave your office at 5 p.m. in the middle of June. You get into a car that has been baking on the asphalt all day. You sit in immediate stop-and-go traffic, drive a short distance, and stop at a long traffic site. You need that cabin to become livable immediately.
And the winner of this crucible, the Tata Nexon. It emerged with the lowest final cabin temperature of the entire group.
Not entirely surprising, honestly.
Yeah, the report specifically credits its incredibly powerful blower and a feature called Express Cool. The Hyundai Venue was also a major standout, pulling off an astonishing 12.5 degrees Celsius temperature drop in the very first minute alone.
That initial drop is so crucial for comfort.
For sure. The Kia Sonic cooled very well, and the new Skoda Kodiaq showed marked improvement over the older Kushaq's results. But the detail I really want to zero in on is the Mahindra XUV 3X.
Ah, yes, the dual-zone anomaly.
Right. It actually underperformed expectations despite being equipped with a dual-zone climate control system. Wait, shouldn't the dual-zone AC in the Mahindra be superior by default? We're always sold on the idea that more features, more zones, and more complexity automatically equal better performance. How does it lose to a Nexon?
It comes down to the stark engineering reality of thermodynamics.
Okay, lay it on me.
When you're dealing with extreme thermal loads, like a cabin that has been baking at 41.2 degrees for 2 hours, what you need, above all else, is the rapid displacement of a massive volume of superheated air.
You just need it out.
Exactly. Raw blower power and smart, unimpeded airflow mapping will always beat complex features in that initial cool-down phase. The Nexon's Express Cool function essentially rolls the windows down slightly, maxes out the compressor, and pushes the blower to 100% to violently purge the hot air envelope out of the car.
Wow, so it's basically a battle of brute force versus finesse.
In those first 10 minutes, yes. Dual-zone cooling requires segmented ducting, complex mechanical blend doors, and split airflow to maintain different temperatures for the driver and passenger.
Oh, I see where this is going.
Yeah, all of that internal plumbing and complexity naturally restricts the sheer volume and velocity of the cold air being pushed into the cabin. When the interior of your car feels like a furnace, you don't need carefully curated microclimates. You need maximum thermal exchange. The Nexon's approach of just blasting a high volume of aggressively cool air is simply more effective at dropping the bulk ambient temperature quickly than a system that is dividing its efforts.
Let me pause you there, though. If brute force is the only thing that matters in our climate, why do manufacturers even bother putting dual-zone climate control in these cars at all? I mean, isn't it just an expensive marketing gimmick?
Not at all, but its value really shines in the maintenance phase, not the purge phase.
Oh, interesting.
Once that brute force has successfully brought the cabin down to a comfortable 22 or 23 degrees Celsius, the dual-zone system is brilliant at maintaining comfort without freezing the passenger while the driver stays warm.
Right, right.
It's excellent for long drives. But during that critical, sweaty 41-degree cool-down when you first open the door, segmented ducting is a bottleneck.
That makes total sense. When your car is an oven, you don't care if your passenger is 1 degree warmer than you just want the burning sensation to stop. Okay, so we've established that Tata is completely dominating both affordability and harsh practical tests, but efficiency and survival are just the foundation. Now, Tata and their global rivals are taking that foundational success and weaponizing it to attack the premium lifestyle segment.
It is the natural evolution of market dominance.
Yeah.
Once an automaker secures the high-volume budget segment and proves their reliability, they inevitably move upmarket, where the profit margins are much higher and they can build genuine brand cachet.
And Tata is doing this with a massive dose of nostalgia. They are officially debuting the Tata Sierra EV on June 30th, 2026.
A lot of hype around this one.
Huge hype. This will be Tata's 7th EV, and it is built entirely on their dedicated Acti.EV Plus platform.
Which is a crucial distinction. The Acti.EV Plus is what we call a dedicated skateboard architecture.
What does that mean for the average buyer?
It means the car isn't just a modified petrol vehicle. It was designed from a blank sheet of paper exclusively to be an EV. The battery pack acts as the structural floor of the car, which totally eliminates the compromises of legacy internal combustion platforms.
Ah, so no weird humps in the floor.
Exactly. And it dramatically opens up the interior cabin space.
And the specs reflect that premium architecture perfectly. They're offering massive 65 kilowatt hour and 75 kilowatt hour battery packs, aiming for a 500 to 550 kilometer range.
Which is plenty for almost anyone.
Right. Interestingly, all-wheel drive is reserved exclusively for the 75 kilowatt-hour model, making this only Tata's second AWD EV. It's going to be priced between 18 and 25 lakh, slotting neatly between their Curve EV and the Harrier EV.
It's a very strategic price point.
It really is, but the thing I'm geeking out about the most is the design. The Sierra brings back an absolute icon from the past, the retro-futuristic Alpine glass roof.
Oh, the nostalgia factor is off the charts.
It's like taking a beloved, nostalgic 90s movie franchise and rebooting it with state-of-the-art CGI. It's weaponized nostalgia designed specifically to capture lifestyle-focused buyers who want their car to be a statement piece.
It's a very shrewd, emotional play by Tata. The original Sierra was a vehicle ahead of its time,
Definitely.
bringing that iconic silhouette back, but placing it on a modern electric architecture instantly gives the vehicle a soul and a backstory. It taps into an emotional connection that new competitors entering the market simply cannot manufacture.
And speaking of competitors, the Sierra is stepping into a wildly crowded premium arena. I mean, it'll be going head-to-head with the Hyundai Creta Electric, the Mahindra BE6, the MG ZS EV, and the Maruti e-Vitara.
It's going to be a bloodbath in that segment.
Seriously. But looking at the broader landscape, there is a massive counter-strategy coming from Skoda.
Skoda's approach is fascinating to contrast with Tata's because they're playing a very different long game here.
So Skoda Auto India's brand director, Ashish Gupta, recently confirmed they are actively evaluating their flagship peak electric SUV for the Indian market. This is a 600-plus kilometer range beast that's getting its global unveil on June 23rd.
A 600-kilometer range is massive.
Right. And Gupta's stated ambition is to bring Skoda's full global EV portfolio to India by 2027. Now, they are also developing a locally built EV on a cost-efficient, India-specific platform, but because of supply chain localization, that is still 2+ years out.
Yeah, that takes time.
So in the near term, they are bringing in the imported Elrock and Enyaq models. But all of this EV news from Skoda actually sits within a much broader, massive plan from their parent group, SAVYPL.
That is Skoda Auto Volkswagen India Private Limited, for those keeping track of the corporate umbrellas.
Right, thank you. SAVYPL is planning a staggering 18 to 19 product intervention in 2026 across their 6 brands, and they're calling their approach a pragmatic multi-powertrain strategy spanning petrol, CNG, hybrid, and EV.
This raises a really important question about the competing philosophies in automotive boardrooms right now.
How so?
On one side, you have Tata investing incredibly heavily in dedicated EV-first platforms like the Acti.EV plus Evan. They're planting their flag, declaring the future is purely electric, and building architectures specifically optimized for batteries and motors from the ground up to defend their massive market share.
But on the other side, you have Skoda and the Volkswagen Group utilizing this pragmatic multi-powertrain hedging.
Exactly. They are looking at the global volatility of EV adoption rates, combined with the reality of India's infrastructure, and choosing to spread their bets.
It makes sense.
It does. Charging infrastructure varies wildly depending on where you are in the country. If you're in Delhi or Bangalore, an EV makes perfect sense. But if you were in a Tier 2 or Tier 3 city where the grid might be less reliable, a hybrid or a CNG vehicle might be the only practical bridge technology for the next 5 years.
Right.
By offering petrol, CNG, hybrid, and electric under one corporate umbrella, SAVWPL can adapt to whatever you, the consumer, actually demand in real time.
It's essentially the automotive equivalent of having a highly diversified stock portfolio versus going all in on a single high-growth tech stock.
That is the perfect way to look at it. For a brand like Tata, which already commands the Indian EV market, the aggressive dedicated platform makes sense to defend their moat.
Yeah.
But for Skoda, trying to capture volume across diverse Indian geographies, the multi-powertrain approach is a much safer, more pragmatic way to ensure they don't miss out on sales while the EV transition plays out unevenly over the next decade.
It is going to be a fascinating battle to watch unfold, the dedicated EV purists versus the multi-powertrain pragmatists.
Absolutely.
Well, let's quickly recap the massive ground we've covered today. We started by looking at how software is literally unlocking hardware, cutting charging times on the 2026 Tiago EV by 40% without changing a single physical part.
Still blows my mind.
Right. We saw how that exact kind of efficiency is making sub-15 lakh EVs unstoppable urban commuters that you can just charge at home like a smartphone. Then we proved that these budget-friendly machines can absolutely survive a brutal 41-degree Celsius torture test, provided they utilize the brute force airflow of something like the Tata Nexon.
Essential for our summers.
And finally, we looked at how this foundational success is scaling up into the premium segment with the nostalgic return of the Sierra EV, while legacy automakers like Skoda prep massive multi-powertrain counteroffensives.
It paints a picture of an industry that is evolving faster than perhaps any other sector on the planet right now. Every assumption we had about cars 5 years ago is being rewritten.
It really is. And it leaves us with so much to think about as we watch these vehicles roll onto our streets.
Actually, I want to leave you with a final thought to ponder as we wrap up today's deep dive. We started by talking about software magically making an older EV battery charge 40% faster overnight.
Yeah.
If cars can now improve dramatically after they are manufactured, what does that do to the traditional used car market?
Oh, wow.
Right? Could a 5-year-old EV sitting on a used lot suddenly become a newer, better car overnight with a simple over-the-air patch? And if so, how do we even begin to calculate a vehicle's depreciation in the future?